One.
These are being recorded.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Sunday League Screamers podcast. I'm your host of today's show, Steve McCutcheon, with my two co-hosts, Vino Anazelli and hello.
What's going on, guys?
Hello. How we doing?
Doing good, man. First weekend back. Love to see it.
Absolutely. It's good to have football back.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The fans, nothing. Oh my God, just being able to hear some of the chants and stuff. It was awesome. Loved it.
The Brentford thing was magical.
Mm-hmm.
We have another great show for you guys. Before that, please take a moment, hit the bell, subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, wherever else you find your podcast. Also follow us on Twitter, the SL Screamers _pod. Let's get the show on the road. So first up, so some news and notes from around the world. Sure everyone heard about it. If not, definitely saw it. Erling Haaland went absolute nuclear the other day. He had 2 goals, 3 assists. At however many zeros you want this price tag, make him the first $1 billion signing of all time. I don't care. The man's worth it. What do you guys think about that game?
I'm kind of hoping Chelsea return Lukaku and spend the rest of that money on him at this point. I mean, if there was ever any doubt about this kid being just, the next phenom behind Ronaldo and Messi, I mean, he put it to bed. I mean, you always had question marks when he moves from from a country like where Salzburg is to Germany, and I mean, the guy has not stopped showing up week in, week out. And Mike, you were just saying he had a goal. One of the goals was chalked off. He had 6 goals.
One of the assists.
Yeah. I mean, the guy contributed 5 goals opening day after he just got off vacation 2 weeks ago. Like, come on. It's not like he was playing a terrible team. They finished 5th previous year.
Yeah, I saw a statistic that Fabrizio Romano retweeted or something along those lines and said, I think in his 61 career games, he has 61 goals. He's putting up,
come on.
Dare I say it, he's putting up Messi-like numbers, in all honesty. Yeah. It's actually ridiculous.
Messi and Ronaldo didn't score this many goals when they were that age, honestly.
No, Ronaldo's, I want to consider him like a late bloomer or whatever, but like at United, his thing wasn't even close to that. But then obviously when he went to Real, that completely different story. But, definitely what do you guys? All right, Mbappe or Haaland, right? Like, it's crazy conversation to think, right? Like I thought Mbappe was the guy, and then Haaland just showed up.
I think it depends on what team you're talking about, because obviously there are 2 different types of players, kind of the same way Messi and Ronaldo are. I think if you need a striker, you're going to Haaland. If I had to pick right now, I would take Haaland personally.
I would too. I think honestly.
Nothing taken away from Mbappe. I mean, obviously the kid is phenomenal. It's nothing against him, but I think Haaland's the guy. I think he's your guy. I think he's a little more reliable.
Taking Kylian.
Taking Kylian.
Love me some Mbappe, man.
They're both future Ballon d'Or winners, though, no doubt about it. So regardless, they're gonna be the guys for a while, I think.
If I can have both, that'd be fantastic.
That's Real Madrid's plan.
Yeah. PSG's gonna have Haaland next year. Don't worry about it.
It's gonna be funny to see where he ends up after his release clause. So, be very interesting. The only other really big news: PSG really introduced all their signings in kind of like FIFA-like fashion, just all of them right out in front. They turned the fair trade off in career mode. Messi, Donnarumma, Hakimi, Sergio Ramos, Wijnaldum, 4 out of 5 on a free. It's insane. The only weirder part than seeing Messi in a different jersey than Barcelona is probably seeing him and Sergio Ramos embrace. It just felt awkward and uncomfortable just watching it. Can't imagine what that hug was actually like.
Yeah, the fact that they dapped up and he didn't get punched square in the face, it blows my mind.
He tweeted out, and Sergio Ramos tweeted out him. I was like, it was like the apocalypse, like the Twilight Zone. I was like, what? All right, something's not right. What the hell's going on right now? Like, we mean punks? Is Ashton Kutcher going to walk out from behind the stands and be like, we were just screwing with you? They hate each other still. Like,
that's a throwback reference if I've ever fucking
heard. I got you. But no, I mean, look, that's the best offseason in history.
Debatably history. Yeah, debatably it's the best ever.
You look around. I mean, obviously Real Madrid had their Galacticos era. The same year they signed the Kaká and Ronaldo and everyone. But I'm like,
yeah, I think it was like 2009 or something.
That's all good and grand, but they got all these guys for free. They spent 7 million collectively, and that was just on Hakimi, who, by the way, is fantastic, and he's also like 24 years old or something like that.
Not even. I think he's younger.
Exactly. It's the best piece of it, like especially from a team that flexes their financial muscle as often as they do. For them to go out and pull this off is just unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But on to our next segment, Stars and Stripes recap. Basically, this is where we cover all the United States guys, anyone on the men's national team just across the world, any good games, bad games, transfer news, all that kind of stuff. So first up, we got Christian Pulisic. Vito, you want to chime in on that one?
Yeah. I mean, he had a good game. Chelsea ended up winning. Yeah, of course. He had a really good game. There were times where I thought Christian kind of fell in and out of the match, where he kind of went a little non-existent at times. But overall, I think he was really good. He had a couple important plays. He set up a couple important free kicks, none of them which really came out to be anything. Marcus Alonso scored another one, but I thought he was very lively. I thought he pressured the defense the way you expect Christian Pulisic to do. That type of player that you're used to seeing in the national team that wants to take defenders one-on-one. I thought he was great. I thought he was back to his lively old self, and it was good to see him get some game time because then, towards the end of the season, he had some minutes, but he was kind of looked like he was a little bit in and out of the team. But Steve, I think you said he was 92% passing, which is great. He obviously contributed the goal, and 2 of 4 dribbles completed isn't too bad either. So I think it was a good performance from him on opening day.
Quick question on him. Do you think that he's going to get some less minutes now? Lukaku coming in, there's some people ahead of him, or do you think this is more or less establishing him? Not to go down a hole.
The only way that happens, I think, is if they push Werner out to the left wing. I don't see how that could really affect them. But I think if Tuchel's smart, you keep Werner at that number 9 role behind Lukaku, maybe play 2 striker, whatever it is, maybe something along those lines, just switch it up a little bit. The only thing I see that's going to hurt Christian for the most part is Tuchel either not putting him at left wing. So if he plays him in that cam role where his back's to net and he doesn't really play as well like that, he's really good at just driving at defenders where he has to be coming in on the sides doing that. But I mean, there's talks about him at right wing back and some other positions. Mm-hmm. Dude, just keep the kid at left wing. You're going to get the ridiculous results out of him.
Yeah. But Mike, to your point, I think if you asked me this question 2 days ago, my answer would be different, or a couple days ago. But watching Ziyech go off injured the other day, I think that just opened up another spot for him. I mean, he has Tuchel's trust. I mean, they have time together at Dortmund. But I think as long as he continues putting in his vigorous displays as he always does, I think Tuchel's a manager who appreciates that. And I think he's going to get his minutes when they're needed.
Okay.
Gotcha. Next up, we got a Dortmund teammate of Erling Haaland, and that's Gio Reyna.
Yeah, he had himself a pretty good day at the office as well. 86 minutes, 1 goal, half a dribble, 1 key pass. Good, a solid overall game. He's definitely growing more and more in confidence. He's living up to, like we were saying last week, to like that number 7 shirt in the Dortmund era. So it's awesome to see. He's only going to get better, especially if he keeps playing with Haaland, right? Who keeps feeding him and just taking defenders away. It's going to give him more opportunities, more space to shine. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think playing with Haaland just going to attract most of the defenders over as long as he stays in kind of like that center mid cam role, not really floating out too much to the wing. I think he'll be pretty solid all year round. Mm-hmm. Next up, we had Joe Scally. For those who don't know, he's a right back, but this week he played left back in the home opener. Right, they played at home against Bayern.
Yep.
Ended up playing left back against the best team pretty much, in Germany for like the last 10 years. Had an amazing game, 81% passing, 3 accurate long balls. He won 8 out of 10 duels, 4 clearances, 2 out of 2 tackles, 6 recoveries, 3 interceptions. Can go on and on about this kid's game. He played amazing. He's only 18 years old, got thrown into this. The only question I pretty much had after seeing this kind of a performance was basically like, is Berhalter watching and is he going to throw him into those World Cup qualifiers? I don't think so just yet, just because he didn't do anything in the summer. He wasn't in the Gold Cup. He wasn't in the Nations League and stuff like that. So be interesting to see in the future. We still have, I think, 15 or 16 months to World Cup because it's in the winter.
December next year.
Yeah, he's got plenty of time to make a name for himself. And if it's not these qualifiers, I think he gets on the next ones.
Definitely.
Absolutely. I completely agree. He was outstanding. I mean, like you said, Steve, Bayern Munich, he did this against. It's not like some run.
It wasn't no third tier German team or something like that. Like he won.
It was Leroy Sané.
Like put him right in the pocket right there, baby.
You talk about being birthed by fire. I mean, come on.
Sometimes I think that's good though, honestly, to just throw the kid out there and have expectations, obviously, but just be like, okay, if he gets burned, it's the best team. There's no
you don't have time to think. You just react and you let your instincts take over almost,
Yeah, no, 100%, dude. Then also in Germany, we had John Brooks put in pretty good shift as well.
Yeah, John Brooks had a good game. He played the entire game. They obviously, Wolfsburg got the clean sheet. They won 1-0, 94% passing, 7 interceptions, though, which is unbelievable. Granted, Balcom, I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce the team name. They're not the best team, but I mean, a lot of that victory came from the back line there and John Brooks. They didn't muster off too many shots, and that's because they did a good job at minimizing those opportunities. And that 7 interceptions says it all for him. So it's good to see John Brooks in form.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice, honestly, just to see him healthy and playing at the club level, really. Because I know internationally we haven't seen him as much as we probably should have over the last couple of years.
Definitely.
And then one more, kind of in Germany, might not be for very long. We'll see how it plays out. But Matthew Hoppe, or Hop, however you want to say his last name, apparently transfer news. We don't know if it was speculation or if it was legit or not. Everton might be making an initial offer. Do you hear? I think more about that knowing.
Yeah, supposedly it's 2 million, which in my opinion seems kind of low for him.
Very low.
But they also just got relegated, so maybe there's some type of like clause in his contract or something along those lines. You never know with that kind of stuff. But regardless, he didn't really obviously play for Schalke, but this past weekend. But if rumors are true, he might be going to the Premier League. A couple clubs interested. Be awesome to see another United States national team member join Sargent, Pulisic. Who knows? We're having like an American invasion right now in the UK. So.
We're switching around this time.
Yeah.
Love to see it. That pretty much does it for the Stars and Stripes recap, just to all the American stuff like that. But let's get back to the Premier League. That is what we're focused on, everything like that. So we got the marquee matchups recap. We're gonna go over all the games from the past weekend. Obviously, it's our first match week. We had Brentford versus Arsenal kick it off on a Friday night. Everything was possibly in Brentford's favor. It was their first home game in the Premier League, their first Premier League game. Crowds came back Friday the 13th.
Oh, yeah.
Literally everything you could possibly imagine. Arsenal was screwed walking into this game. Then
Aubameyang and
Lacazette. Like, it didn't matter. Like, nothing was going their way for the most part. But it was really cool. The crowd was all into it. I know there's a great shot of the manager. I think it was after they scored one of the goals or after the final whistle blew, I went up to like a special needs kid and they were like hugging and like high fiving. Yep. It was really freaking cool to see.
Amazing.
They had old men crying because they haven't seen their guy.
Yeah.
The team play in like the top flight in 40 years or whatever. So pretty awesome.
It was great to watch. And the goals too, they just seem so typical of like a newly promoted team against a typical powerhouse like Arsenal in the past and stuff. He had the long throw in, just bouncing the box, headed home. Like
on a side note, that was just horrendous defending.
Oh, absolutely.
Horrific.
But what are they paying all that money to Ben White for?
All I'm saying is
50 mil.
Someone needs to get Mustafi back in the mix at this point. It's just unbelievable. But
the second shock of the weekend, I guess, pretty much almost back-to-back days, we had Watford and Aston Villa, and Watford was up at 1.3-0 and took them down to 3-2.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. We all on this podcast picked Watford to get relegated and Zisco, whatever his name is, to be sacked first. I don't want to overreact, but they may win the Premier League. Next year, Champions League.
Slight chance.
In all seriousness, no. We all didn't give them a shot in hell to go. We thought they were going to get steamrolled by Aston Villa. Credit to them. Awesome to see. Hopefully they become a big player in the space, or at least enough to challenge and kind of make the relegation race interesting. Awesome to see for them. Awesome result.
Yeah, it's always tough when obviously they lose their best player, who obviously we'll get to that later, premiered in Grealish at City. So it was pretty cool to see see how they would react. And you know what? Credit to them for being down 3-0 and almost coming back to salvage a point there. It was a good performance, I think. Well, not ultimately, I guess, but
they were unlucky too. I know definitely one of the shots that went in and got deflected. I think even the second one of the other goals did too. So they weren't the best looking goals in the world, but granted, goal's a goal. They took it to them. That's awesome. I mean, realistically, I thought they'd probably be the hardest team or struggle the most in front of net. I didn't think they have a lot going forward. I know Sarr looked great out in the wing, creating a bunch of chances. I forget the one guy that came in and scored the eventual game winner. He's on the field for maybe 30, 50 seconds, whatever it was, hit a banger of a curler. So we'll see how they go. I mean, granted, it's week 1. We don't know, but I think we all picked them to finish 20th at this point. So it's kind of cool just to see what they're actually capable of doing.
Definitely.
Another game on Saturday, Crystal Palace and Chelsea. Chelsea won that 3-0. Vito, what was your take on that one?
I mean, I'm a Chelsea supporter, clearly. So, I was in love with it. First off, I want to say for Chalobah to come in, his first Premier League game, and then score the goal. He didn't have the confidence to take that shot on. Good for him. I mean, I thought it was a very well put together performance from Chelsea. I thought it was exactly what they needed to do to start the season off. They were very fluid in attack. Their momentum was just consistently on the front foot, and they really took it to Palace as you would expect them to do. Palace, you know what? Truthfully, I don't think they looked terrible. I didn't think they played a terrible game. I just thought they came up against a team who was drilled a little bit better than them and has had a little more time to prepare against it. Zaha looked a little out of sorts for me, which was a little worrying, to be honest, because that team needs him to thrive for them to succeed. So I would like to see him kind of get more into it. But I think his mind might just be a little elsewhere. So he's been pushing for a transfer for how long. But I thought it was a good job by Chelsea. Not the worst thing in the world for Palace. The scoreline, I think, is a fair reflection of how that game went.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the champions of Europe, they took it to him and everything like that. But Crystal Palace, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more out of them, but I'm also not going to fault them at all either. I think they was just complete outclassed in a sense.
I mean, it's a free kick, Pulisic in the front, and almost that ball that took a deflection when Pulisic finished it. I mean, you're talking about potentially that ball being a 1-0 game, if not for a couple of moments of magic, So we'll see how Palace does moving forward. I still have faith in them. They're going to finish, mid-table.
I can see that. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be shocked one bit. Next up, we had a game we also pretty much unanimously shit on for happening. It actually turned out to be pretty good itself. Brighton and Burnley.
Yeah.
Tarkowski basically ruined our 0-0 prediction within 2 minutes. So appreciate that, buddy. Brighton did their typical thing they were doing last season, though. They were creating a bunch of chances. I'm looking up their expected goals right now, actually. I know it was around that 1.7 mark or something like that.
And hey man, if they get somebody to finish, like apparently they do, they're going to be a problem. They will be.
Yeah, no, and they did. Eventually, they put 2 away later in the second half, around the 70th and 75th minute. Neil Maupay, Mike's picked to just absolutely shank a shot, put 1 away, so you love to see it. But actually, something really funny in him, because I know he didn't have the best season last year. I don't know how true this was, because I actually just read this on Twitter, so it could have just been a troll for all I know. Didn't confirm the notes
Source.
on it. But apparently his wife was pregnant last year, and they might have been having difficulties with it. So you never know where his head might have been last season and stuff like that. Terrible. So you never know. Yeah. But
horrible, yeah,
maybe he's back. But yeah, they 2-1 victory for them. It's a great comeback. They went down early and they fought back for it. And if they do finish the chances, I could see them being. Easily. I don't see them being top 10, but like they're pushing pretty close to it.
I would like to piggyback off Mike, and I think Watford's not going to win the league. Brighton may.
That's bold. Next game up, we had Everton and Southampton.
Yeah, similar to the Brighton game, right? Everton pretty much controlled the game after they gave up the 1 goal, right? And it was a pretty horrendous goal to give up.
Yeah, but I don't know what Michael Keane was doing. I really don't.
That being said, we were asking questions prior to like the week, saying like, where the goal's going to come from for Southampton. Apparently, they're just going to be giving own goals at all times. So yeah, jokes though. I mean, once that goal went in, you thought like, okay, is the upset on? What's Rafa going to do as the new coach of Everton? Credit to him. They came out, they came back, guns blazing, put 3 past Southampton, really controlled the game after they pretty much equalized. So yeah, it's definitely a good start for Everton. Southampton, like we said, it's going to be a rough season. We'll see how that new guy that signed, Armstrong, if I remember correctly his name.
Yeah, no, he was actually the one that scored their goal too.
And he's the one who scored the goal, took his 1 chance. So if he keeps scoring the way he did in the championship, like we stated, like maybe they have a shot. But of like finishing right above that relegation, that mid-tier. So good game though, regardless.
And you know what? Honestly, from Everton's perspective, it was nice to see the big guns taking charge with Charlison and Calvert-Lewin both in the score sheet. So that's really good news for them.
He had a nice diving header too.
Yeah,
yeah. Richarlison, he had the goal, but I think he's the one that set up the diving header too, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's nice to see that, definitely. And then I guess we got to give it a shout out to Decore with an absolute belter.
Yeah, that was
goal this season too.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
So fun game overall, but yeah, similar to Brighton in the sense they went down early, came back. Good for them. They showed some guts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next up, Leicester City and Wolves. Leicester City 1-0.
Yeah, you know what? When you think about Leicester City and Wolverhampton Wanderers, you expect goals from these types of teams. You know what I mean? But I will say, Jamie Vardy back in the score sheet is a fantastic sight to see. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm a massive fan of Jamie Vardy and everything he's done for that club and for the Premier League. Overall, it was kind of a little bit of a lackluster affair. I was a little disappointed in the Wolves team, though. 15 shots and only 3 of those on target the entire game.
Was it really that bad?
Yeah. And they only maintained 43% possession. I didn't expect them to come out guns blazing and putting 10 on 10 on target. Don't get me wrong. But 3 from 15 is not something that you can do. It's nice to see Raul Jimenez back in the lineup. That's fantastic. I have a horrific injury, so I'm happy to see him, trying to contribute to that team. But if they are going to maintain what they did 2 years ago when they first made it into the league, they need to start putting more of these opportunities on target. And they didn't do that today, and that's a little bit worrying. On the other side, good for Leicester for taking advantage of that, putting the only one they needed past them and taking the 3 points.
It's a nice goal, too. I don't know if you saw the goal, too. Came across him, like, near post, flicked it on past Schmeichel, ran to the corner flag, yelled into the crowd.
Yeah. No, he howled at him. He did the wolf howl. He did the wolf howl at him. Yeah.
That guy is a master troll.
That guy's the best.
Something out of Twilight right there.
Vardy party forever. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, they honestly weren't even that creative for the most part in the game. They took their chance when they needed it, but that's all that matters. You get a clean sheet, you're good.
Yeah. Just real quick, in contradiction to what I just said about Wolves, Leicester only had 8 shots, half of what Wolves did, but they put 7 of the 8 on target.
That's very helpful.
That usually
increases your chances.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
Next up, Man U and Leeds. Man U 5-1. We did predict this one to be pretty much a goal fest, a very open game, but we all thought it'd be a little bit closer. I know you guys had it as a draw, 2-2. I picked the 3-2 Man U win, but I didn't think we saw this one coming. I thought Leeds would put up a little bit more of a fight. Once Luke Ayling had that like thunderbolt of an effort, and they tied it up 1-1. I'm like, okay, we got like a game on our hands. Is what's Leeds doing? And then Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes just dropped their pants and absolutely pooped on him. Like just straight up. Like there's no other explanation.
Of what that was the non-explicit version of what actually happened.
I tried to keep it a little bit PG. I don't know. I think I said the F word before, so I'm toning it down right there. But Pogba, honestly, I think he thought he was playing for France or something like that, because we haven't seen performance like that in Man U in forever. So
helped out my fantasy team. Sorry, Vito.
This week. Dude, I woke up and I saw 4 assists and I went, damn.
It's all right. You're I think you're in last place. You're gonna get Lukaku this week.
Yeah, apparently.
Not a bad thing.
Not terrible.
Next up, newly promoted Norwich City ran into Liverpool and lost 3-0.
Yeah, Steve, I think you and I were talking about this, and it was a little unfortunate for Norwich. I didn't think they played terribly. I mean, granted, it's still a Liverpool team, regardless of how last season turned out. They had the big guns back in the show. Salah, though, record-breaking 5 straight years scoring on opening day.
That's pretty cool.
Premier League record.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the scoreline ended up being what it should have been, kind of the same way I felt about Chelsea's scoreline. I think it flattered them very slightly because Norwich is a little unfortunate at times. But generally speaking, this was kind of the only scoreline you saw coming here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think there's any argument with that one.
It's good to see Van Dijk back too, running around. So
definitely.
It's good. Did Gomez play? I honestly don't remember. I only caught like half the game, really.
I don't think he did.
He did? Okay. I wasn't positive who went next to him. But from what I did see though, Norwich didn't really look bad at all. It reminded me kind of a little bit of Leeds, the way they were counterattacking, very open play, very fluid and stuff. So good to see. But I mean, they're
Joel Matip started. What was curious to see though, Diego Jota got to start over Firmino.
Yeah, I did see that. I was like very, very curious. Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe it's a signal for where he's trying to go. I mean, Jota had a great year last year, so nothing against him. He deserves it, but it was just cool.
Firmino also came out and scored, though, at the same time. So
that's true. Yeah.
Maybe he's a little pissed off.
Both of them, I guess, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Tottenham and Manchester City. Michael, 1-0. Come on, you Spurs.
Wow. Man, I was not confident last week. I still wasn't confident today, but wow, does that feel good. 1-0, I'll take it for whatever reason. Ever since I was reading this stat from one of the Tottenham beat reporters the other day, ever since Pep has called Tottenham the Harry Kane team, he has not beaten Tottenham.
Wow.
So, and at least all the times that Kane hasn't played also. Yeah. So I'm just saying there's some type of magic voodoo or hoodoo or something going on in that Spurs locker room whenever they play Pep. I don't know what it is, but I'm all for it. It's a hell of a way to start. I was definitely a little scared walking into the game, but overall they had a really good game plan. Shout out to Oliver Skip, who played his pants off first game in the Premier League, coming in as against Man City, Dele, Son, Bergwijn, Lucas, they were all phenomenal. So it was a great win. Definitely something to build off of. That price tag for Harry Kane now just went up an extra 200 cash, or we're not talking.
Yeah. And you can tell they need him too, because as much as City was moving the ball around the penalty area, every time they pick their heads up, they're looking to where Gabriel Jesus should have been on the top, on the middle of the penalty area, and they had no one to play it into. And Kane sitting on the bench going, "That could be me."
And the worst part is though, Jesus didn't even start, so that's how much Pep doesn't have confidence in him. You know what I mean? Like they created their expected goals was 1.9. And they just still couldn't put anything away. They need a number 9 up there.
They're talking about shipping him off to Juve. Actually, I heard.
It wouldn't shock me one bit. He's been like that for how long has he been there now? A couple of years, and he's never gotten the chance.
He got there when Pep got there a couple of years ago.
Okay, yeah, but he's still playing that bench role for the most part. He's not starting, and they don't trust him, and clearly need someone up there too.
We were saying it before we got on. I remember when you have to bring an injured De Bruyne on for opening day in the 75th minute, you know you're hurting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got to send some shockwaves through him a little bit.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun to see. Actually, on kind of just a completely separate note, because that game got a little feisty towards the end and stuff like that, especially like Grealish. I saw a couple good tackles in there. I like what the Premier League's doing with what they're calling as fouls and what they're not anymore. Mm-hmm. I think it's got a massive step forward. Granted, they're already the most physical league out of the top 5 by a mile, but seeing what they're doing now, like they're just the refs are just telling them to get up and play. I think it's like throughout the season we're gonna start seeing a lot more contact, like kind of like the old school tackles.
And you don't feel like they're also not protecting the players at the same time. That you still feel like the players are protected, but it's like, hey, this is a contact sport. Mm-hmm. You get hit, you get up and you play on, and you don't roll around. We're not going to do that anymore.
I'm all about it.
Yeah,
for it.
Absolutely. Really make the NBA the worst flopping sport now.
yeah. Well, baseball gets hangnails. So they might be the worst still.
I don't know, man. Those are painful. Not gonna lie, they do hurt. Like they're not fun to deal with. I'm currently dealing with one. It's been like a week.
You're not wrong.
Don't bite your nails, kids.
All right.
Last game of the weekend, West Ham 4, Newcastle 2. West Ham went down twice in this one, came back from behind in a matter of about a 13-minute span, scored 3 goals. Your boys' pick for breakout player of the year had a goal and assist. Said
Yes, he did.
Rama lit it up like there. Looked like Jesse Lingard from last year. Killing it. Just want to say I was right so far. It feels good. Mike's pick didn't even get on the field.
That's okay. He's later in the year. Patson Daka later in the year. But I'd say definitely, honestly, probably game of the weekend besides Brentford, potentially just because of the cool story behind it. But in terms of like actual play back and forth, that West Ham game was pretty damn entertaining to watch. Definitely. And if they keep playing like that, they definitely will be challenging for Europe again. They look
picked
good.
them for 7 this year.
They look good.
They honestly picked up right where they left off. I honestly really hope they can keep the same things like towards what was it, probably the last 5 or 6 weeks of the season. We kind of said like they had a tough schedule. They were starting to slow down a little bit. Mm-hmm. We'll see if they have enough the roster, because I know they're playing in Europa League.
Yeah, they're playing in Europe.
We'll see if they have the depth to actually be able to compete in 2 different competitions on top of the domestic tournaments.
I hope Moyes gets the credit that he deserves. I mean, majority of this, I'm not taking anything away from the players, but Moyes has turned this team into actual contenders who come in week and week out, and they believe they can win every single game. So I hope he gets the credit he deserves, because he's doing a phenomenal job there.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%.
No, I agree. He should have won Manager of the Year.
I agreed.
Before we go over the next week's games, do you guys want to go over some over or under reactions of the first match week?
Oh yes.
All right. Starting off with my favorite one, probably because we all hate Arsenal. Are they in trouble? Do they look the exact same? My personal reaction, I would not think this is an overreaction. I think this is actually dead accurate. They looked horrible, flat. Aubameyang and Lacazette would not have made a difference in that game. I still think Brentford would have won that regardless.
Arteta in forever.
Yeah, Arteta in. Yeah.
You guys agree with that one or not? 'Cause I don't. They looked identical to last season, just no identity.
It's, you know what it is for me? It's not. They lost, and I understand that. Teams go through that. I agree with you, Steve, 100% the identity aspect of it. My worry isn't the fact that they lost. It's that they lost a game that they needed to win because the next 5 or so games, it's like Chelsea and Man City. It's teams that they probably won't win. I say that now, watch Chelsea lose, but it's
please don't jinx it.
You're right, Steve. It just felt like I just picked up where I left off in May. Oh, here's Arsenal. Okay, here we go.
I'm going to say overreaction right now, just because it's the first game in. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Just to be fair, I will say Emile Smith-Rowe looked really good. He looked really lively as like one player. Saka looked good when he came on too. So those two younger players, they have a core. They have people they can build around, but definitely not the way you want to start your season.
No doubt. What do you think happens though? Let's say they do like run the Chelsea. They're playing really good. Man City, really good. If they go 0 for 3, 0 points for the first out of 9, are we talking
real possibility?
Are we having Arteta conversations?
Well,
that early?
So not yet. I think he goes until like November, and then if it's still like that, then you have that conversation.
I completely agree. After City, so City's game week 3. After City, they have Norwich and Burnley, and then they play Spurs. I think if those games after Norwich and Burnley
those are must wins.
Well, that becomes a real issue because at that point you have to make a decision as the owner. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Cronkies, I mean, they're out of their minds at this point, but you can't go into the North London derby against Spurs
and that's
potentially 0-4 and expect things to go well because you're at a point in the season where you have to make one of two decisions. Either you stick with Arteta or you switch now. You wait any longer, and it's just irreversible at that point, almost. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do they say? Hire slow, fire quick.
Yeah. I think if you don't have a win by the time you get to Tottenham, you have to drop him.
Interesting. Okay.
He's had 2.5 years. It's too long.
I mean,
let's hold you to it.
I mean, as a Chelsea fan, we see it all the time. Like, granted, I'm not a huge fan on firing as quick as we do sometimes, but it gets results, and for whatever reason, it always seems to work for us. So.
That manager sack bounce, that was poor wording. But
We're not editing this episode. Good to know.
All right. Good thing we marked this as explicit content. Okay.
I hate you. Second one, Leeds, after their kind of poor showing against Manchester United, do you think they're heading for a sophomore slump that we typically see from those newly promoted teams?
Overreaction. Again. I have them finishing as the 10th. I think I put them as 10th in my league standings. I think it was going to happen. They ran into an absolute buzzsaw of Manchester United and got torn up. Like, if you're going to get picked apart, like as Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes, like we have them finishing at 2nd, 3rd, respectively between all of our stuff. So I think it was just a perfect storm that they ran into.
Yeah. Old Trafford was rocking.
I definitely think it's unfortunate, but I do have them have a sophomore slump, Steve. I think they're going to fall 12, 13-ish this year.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a little neutral. I could definitely see them not finishing as high as they did last year, but I think overreaction in the sense that Man U just played like it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't think they made enough signings. I think they needed to shore up the back line, and they just did not.
That would definitely be more helpful.
I think they're found out this time. Yeah.
That's my issue with them. Like, they play the same exact style regardless of who they're playing.
Yep.
It's almost kind of like what Frank Lampard did with Chelsea before we got sacked. Exactly. It was basically the same lineup every single time out, and this is our style. Take it or leave it.
And that works in the Championship where you have a level of quality of players. I'm not saying they're bad players, obviously, but when you get to the Premier League and you're talking about guys who make £300,000 a week, Kevin De Bruyne is going to absolutely destroy you. Like, you can't survive in the Premier League with the same mentality you have in the Championship.
Yeah, I feel you. We kind of covered this one already a little bit, but West Ham looked like a top 4 contender again.
Top 4, no. Top 6, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think they at least challenge late into the year again, though?
No. I think the gaps, like we discussed, it's going to be just too large, realistically.
Yeah, I can't see anybody getting into the top 4 other than the big 4 that we mentioned in Liverpool, Chelsea, United, and City. I mean, but I agree with Mike. I think finishing 7th, I think it was that I said before. They look good. They look so good. fluid, just in and out. You can tell these guys have been it looks like they've been playing together since they were 4. You know what I mean?
Depending on what happens with the rest of Tottenham's transfer, just based off match week 1, I'd probably have West Ham finishing 5th. I think now, even over Leicester. They looked really, really good.
Very good.
All right. Number 4, Crystal Palace didn't take a single touch in the Chelsea penalty box for the first half. Trouble in paradise with Vieira, or clearly just outclassed?
What did the odds go to his potential sacking? Didn't jump up.
I think his went up and Muniz went down.
yeah, definitely.
He might be leading now.
I can't honestly say that they shouldn't be worried, but Steve, I think you're right. I think there's just an outclass. I mean, you put Werner and Pulisic up front, and you know they're going to cause problems. I think Zaha did have a chance to pull one back when it was only, I think, 2-0 at the time.
It was a little later in the game, but yeah.
A great block. But, I mean, you have to be a little worried. You can't see that stat. 0 touches, not a single one. They can't just punted the ball.
First half.
Like, I know, in the first half, I know. But you have to be a little concerned, but I think you have to give it some time. New manager, team's kind of changing over.
Unless they just go on a terrible run, like we're kind of predicting with Arsenal potentially, then that you give them time.
I agree. It was really funny because I don't know if you guys saw the heat map of it though. It just basically looked like a big U shape. There's nothing in the middle going forward. It's just like the flanks and this defense.
I'm curious to see what happens when Conor Gallagher comes into the mix in that midfield, because that looked like where they were struggling for the most. And he's a Chelsea loanee, so he couldn't play obviously against parent club. So when he comes in, I'll be eager to see how that kind of shifts the tempo of things for them.
He makes those runs to the middle of the field, definitely.
Yes.
So, and last overreaction possibly. Watford looked very capable of surviving in the Premier League. Mike said they're going to win it, so we'll see about that. But let's just talk about survival. Let's talk about survival in this one. You think what do you think, the odds changed at all? Or are they still kind of going to be fighting?
No.
No. I think they're still gone.
Every dog has its day. Congrats. They got their win. Proud of them. They did it, but I still do not have them surviving.
What's the saying, Mike? A broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
That's exactly how many wins they're going to have all season, and one of them happened on the first day. So,
ooh, that was cold, man.
Sorry, that was rude. That was
really mean.
I look, nothing against them personally. I love Watford. I enjoy their team. I enjoy their fan base. But you look at half these teams, almost every team strengthened in some way, and you look at Watford and you just can't pick out where it happened. I don't think they have a chance.
Gotcha. For anyone that can't really realize, but just Vito's voice, he was at the Jersey Shore Boardwalk earlier, and he's had a few drinks. So anyone can get tonight, and Watford just learned that lesson.
Anyone can get it.
Anyone can get it.
Anyone can get it. Anyone can get it. Yeah.
Anyone can catch these baby hands.
Baby wrist, big hand, small wrist.
All right, so let's go over the matchups for the coming week, match week 2. First up, we're going to have Liverpool and Burnley. I don't know about your guys' take on this. Personally, I just think Liverpool's not going to steamroll this. Burnley's typically we got Sean Dyche back there. So typically a very defensive team. They'll probably look pretty good, but eventually I think Liverpool get the breakthrough. I'm going to take them like a 2-0 finish.
I was going to say 2-0.
Yep.
Okay. Next up, I like this matchup actually. Aston Villa and Newcastle, both coming off losses.
I think Villa's going to take it. They looked good in that second half. Obviously, they didn't get the point that they wanted, and honestly, based on their display in that second half, they deserved. I think they're going to take it to Newcastle. I think they're going to be, rejuvenated a little bit, and I think they'll get all 3.
Yeah, I'd say a 2-1 win for Aston Villa.
I'm going to take a 1-1 or a 2-2 draw. Newcastle actually looks pretty good going forward. Obviously, defensively, not as much, but Villa didn't. They created a decent amount of chances. I think it was like a 1.13 expected goals for them or something along those lines. So it wasn't an amazing amount, but it also wasn't bad either. But it's also against Watford, so they weren't clicking on all cylinders. So early in the season, they might not have it all going. Possible draw.
Maybe I'll pick up Kellen Wilson this week in fantasy and see what happens.
All right. Well, all right. And if that's happening, I'm taking Aston Villa like 3-1. you got to give me that. You got to let me know beforehand here. Brentford, Crystal Palace.
Yeah, both teams coming into it. One's feeling pretty good, one not. Honestly, I'm going to go with the team that has the hot hand right now. I'm going to give Brentford a win. I'm going to say a 1-0 win against Crystal Palace.
Interesting. I like it. I I think it's going to be a draw, but I think you have a general, like I'm going 1-1 on the score line here, but I think it's the same general thing.
I think it's a great test for Crystal Palace because compared to the Chelsea team, this is obviously a much more winnable game for them. So I think they're going to come out a little differently. But I'm going to agree with Mike on this one. I think Brentford's got a little more magic left in them, and they looked really good going forward at some points in that game, like really good.
They did.
And defensively, I think I could be wrong, but I think they had the best record in the championship last year. If not, they were very close to the top. So I think they pull out another dub in this one too. A game that's probably going to be really, really wide open. We got Everton and Leeds.
How many? The over under on the own goals.
It's got to be 6. It's got to be 6 goals. It's got to be 6 goals.
Not 6 goals. Own goals.
I stick with 6. I didn't stutter. Come on. No. This one of all the games this week, this is the one game I don't know. I think this game could go either way at any point and fly off the handle.
Yeah, it's going to be if there's any game to watch just for either the goals or the comedy that comes associated with the goals, this is it. So I'm going to stick to kind of Leeds. Typically, obviously, they play the way they play. We talked about them getting exposed. Everton have their issues defensively. All that taken into account, I'm going to say like a 3-2 Leeds. 3-2 Leeds. So.
Okay.
It's not a bad scoreline. Leeds, like I want to say 2-2 draw, but Leeds doesn't really draw very often. They're just they're win or lose. Like they're going for it.
They live and die.
They could be down 5-1 and they'd still put 10 people in the box.
100%. Zero fucks given about goal differential for them.
Yeah. I think I'd take the same scoreline as Mike, but I flip it and I give it to Everton.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3-2 Leeds as well. I think I want to go draw, but I literally just can't.
Yeah.
Next up, I don't know who Norwich City pissed off to start the year. Someone's got it out for him, but Man City, Norwich.
And they go to Arsenal next after that.
I don't think we have to debate this one too much.
I don't know. They just love the Spurs, and them and Norwich are kind of on level footing at this point.
If you remember correctly, 29th is September 2019.
Norwich won.
They did win, and they played a B team lineup that game. They had like 10 injuries.
I live bet that game and won $60. It was great.
Oh yeah, I was your bookie for that one. I remember that one. I forgot about that. We should get a betting section on here. Actually, I would love to throw up a couple just for some shits and gigs. I'm honestly gonna take Man City here, regardless of that history and stuff. But
yeah, Man City.
It would be cool. It would be cool to see.
No brainer.
Usually wouldn't say this, because this game would typically suck. But both guys are coming off victories. We got Watford and Brighton.
Well, if history has kind of taught us anything, and what we've been talking about just now. Like Vito said, what was the saying? Any clock or whatever?
A broken clock's right twice a day.
Yeah, so this isn't going to be this. They're not winning again. Offer's not winning.
No way.
Brighton's going to win.
This is my draw pick.
Yeah,
this is my draw pick. 0-0, maybe -2 goal differential somehow.
I'm going to give Brighton a 1-0 one.
I agree with Mike. I was kidding about the draw. I think they're going to take the goal.
I want to disagree with you, motherfuckers, one time. No, I'm gonna go Brighton as well. We need to get a little. Damn, that sucks.
I know.
Good luck, Southampton, Manchester United.
Yeah, no need to really go through that one.
Yeah,
Man,
Bruno Brace, maybe. I don't. Anything's possible.
They better hope that entire team gets COVID, because otherwise, they're not.
Yeah, Bruno Brace. Maybe Sancho gets on the score sheet. Who knows?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool. I'd like to see him start, actually. It'd be interesting between him and Mason.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, a little bit of a headline news right there. We got Tottenham and Wolves. Nuno returning to face his old team.
Mm-hmm. This has got, for me, draw written all over it. Spurs always love to come back off a big win with a crap performance. So I'm going to say draw 1-1, something along those lines.
I think Wolves are going to take this one. I think they're going to see Nuno on the other side. And to your point, Mike, the way Tottenham usually performs with our big wins, they're kind of lackadaisical. I think Wolves are going to come out absolutely swinging at this game.
Yeah.
I think they're going to want to prove a point. I think they know they have to prove a point.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to win 2-1.
That's bold. I'm gonna take a Spurs win. Actually, I like the way they looked. Son up top. I saw when he's actually playing center forward for them. He's got
He's
58
phenomenal.
career 58 career games, 55 goals and assists. So
Let me ask you then.
It works.
Do you think Kane will start that game?
No.
Is he not? Is he not? Is he not gone by then?
That's my question.
I don't think he starts that game.
I don't think he plays either.
So
I mean,
I'm
he only has
betting on
15
Son.
days left.
I think he's gone.
It'd be interesting. The only bad part about the way Tottenham's dealing with this situation is if
They haven't signed a striker. It's
Well,
Yeah.
that, but you're also just getting later in the window. So unless they have a bunch of guys picked out that they want to go after already,
That's typically
it's
how
tougher to sell.
That's typically how Fabio operates. So apparently, I wouldn't be surprised if he's got his hands in a ton of different pots right now, cooking stuff up.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if City's going, he doesn't want to play. You're going to have to sell him to us. And Tottenham's sitting on the other side going, we will literally drag this out until next year. We have all the time in the world.
Yeah.
And we don't care.
200, like I said, 200 or get out.
You have 400 oil fields. I want 2. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
Next up, we got London Derby, Chelsea and Arsenal. Anybody want to start with this one?
Yeah, I don't like the badmouth teams. I know I'm busting chops and whatnot, but I don't like the badmouth teams. But I don't see Arsenal bouncing off that loss and coming back with a strong performance at the Bridge. I just don't see it happening. I think Chelsea is not going to put it in as a complete performance as they did against Palace, but I still think they come away 2-0 or 2-1 winners here.
I'd say 2-0 Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I don't know if Lukaku's playing in that game too yet. If he's
I would
playing.
think by then a full week of training. I think
if he's playing in that game too, that scoreline might even be higher. So I don't see how they're going to deal with that.
Yep.
I want to jinx and go Arsenal just to help myself out here, but Chelsea it is.
Yeah.
Last game of the weekend. It's a Monday nighter, so we might or may not be recording before then. So Leicester and West Ham, another pretty interesting game. 5th and 6th place last year. They both just missed out on top 4 when they possibly could have had it. So what do you guys think?
Is this our game of the week?
This is my game of the week. I was just going to say that. Yeah. Definitely. This is going to be so open. It's going to be so much fun to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be like Everton Leeds without fuck ups.
Well, we don't know that yet.
I think it goes one of two ways. If it's a very, very open game, I think it favors West Ham without a doubt. If it's more of a cagey kind of feel to it, it favors Leicester in my opinion. But I think it's going to be open. I'll probably take West Ham like 2-1 winners.
Same score line, opposite side, Leicester. Wait, you said West Ham?
Yeah.
I take Leicester 2-1. I think Leicester's back line looked really good opening week compared to what we saw, obviously, towards the latter half of last year. I mean, there's obviously was injuries and stuff like, things of that nature that had an impact. But I thought they looked good in defense, very solid in defense, which is good to see from them because when Vardy was struggling, and it was okay. It was all fine. But once the back line gave out, it was downhill.
For some reason, I think this is going to be a much cagier affair. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw.
Okay. We got 3 different. This is the first time we had 3 different score lines, 3 different results.
No, for last week with Brentford, Arsenal, we all had 3 different ones. So one of us is going to be right. Appreciate it.
Damn, you got it, Steve.
That does it for all the predictions for the next week. We do have some closing notes before the show ends. Because there's fans back, obviously last year we had none. Amazing thing to see. There was no draws in the Premier League this week. Not one. Ted Lasso, very proud coach. We had 7 wins for the home teams, 3 for the away. Last year, the away team's record was actually really, really good without the fans. It was a 40% win rate, and 62% of the time they actually took a point. What do you guys think is going to be very different this year, especially just being the first year back and everything?
100%. 100%. Like the fans, they made their voice heard. They made it a much more hostile atmosphere. Yeah. Like, I mean, you could tell, like, the players were definitely feeding off of it, especially the home players. Like, it's
like we said, Vardy howled at the opposing fans. He howled at Wolves. Yeah. Look, COVID was horrific. Obviously, thoughts to everybody who's been affected by it. But if it did one thing, it shows you how home field advantage really is a thing. It showed you that the fans really are the 12th man, whether it's football, 10 person for baseball, whatever you want to call it. They run the tempo of that game. When that crowd gets behind you,
Yeah.
any team can come out ahead.
Oh yeah.
I agree. No, definitely. It's great to see again. The pumped in fan noise is just not the same.
No,
Yeah,
come on. I'm going to be honest on a side note too. As like great fans, we were praising Brentford a lot, praise their fans. The rendition of Hey Jude at the end of when they won too.
Loved it.
That was
epic. Loved it.
Yeah.
I wish every team would have a song that they do by the Beatles at the end, whenever they get a win.
Big fan. And last thing, at least I got on the agenda. If you guys want to add anything after, feel free. Our prediction records for week number 1. I'd like to just say I came in first with 6 correct answers. And then you guys both tied with 5. So not much of a difference. But
you got us by 1. I'm coming
a
after
win's a
this
win,
week.
baby. Win's a win.
Fair enough.
Do you guys got anything else to add, though?
Lightning doesn't strike twice.
Hey, broken clock, right?
We'll see there, guy.
No, it's good to be back. It felt like it's been too long, even with the summer competition. So I'm just happy to be sitting down with a beer and watching the games again.
Yeah, I'm excited for a lot more storylines, a couple of transfers probably to be coming in that'll shake some stuff up. It's going to be a good year for sure, 100%.
Well, I do want to say one thing. The only thing that I'm looking forward to more than every game for this season is watching PSG for the first time with Messi in that lineup.
Oh yeah,
tune in. It's going to be magic. They're going to play against. They're already in the Farmers League, but it's going to be 19-0 week in, week out. It's going to be magical.
They look good too. I was watching that game. They looked really good, even without Messi or Neymar playing. Like, they look scary good.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. What I really don't know too much about League One. What TV rights do they have? Does ESPN or
I think it's BN.
It's BN, and then also I think Amazon has the rights too.
Yes.
So
okay,
I
like that.
Serie A just moved over to, I think it's ESPN.
Yeah, well they've been on. It's La Liga did.
La Liga did. Sorry, yes, thank you.
La Liga did.
I think I heard Ian Dark actually for the Barcelona game. I was watching that for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Depay had a nice game. He had a really nice game. He had a nice flick for the goal.
Mm-hmm. He looked good. Braithwaite taking over for Messi. Like who needs Lionel Messi anymore, bro? We got Martin Braithwaite.
He's the
build him a statue. Build him a statue.
Yeah.
The Danish savior for Barcelona.
Damn straight.
That'll do it for this episode, guys. The Sunday League Screamers podcast. Like, comment, hit the bell, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter, SLScreamers_pod for daily tweets about world football, the show, the Barclays Premier League, and the United States men's national team. I'm your host, Steve McCutcheon, with Vito Anazelli and Michael Noen, signing off.
Take care, guys.
Boys.
Later.